Hey everybody, welcome to the DDC Studios YouTube channel. Like always, this is the DDC Studios owner and publisher, David Hayner. And today's topic should be kind of a fun one, but before we get that underway, I do want to remind you, if you haven't already, to hit that subscription button, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any of these awesome uploads we put up every Tuesday and Thursday morning. Also, if you're liking what you're listening to, smash that like button, and as always, please feel free to leave a comment down below, as both Dylan and I really do appreciate any and all feedback we can get our hands on for this little YouTube channel. Okay, now that we got that underway, let's get down to the meat and potatoes of today's video. I have quite a few conversations, or I've had quite a few conversations over the past days, weeks, and months. And there's some people that are maybe a little confused when it comes to some of the terminology. And really what it boils down to is they hear terms like small press, mini comics, and zines, and they wonder what the heck the difference is between the three. And honestly, it's not an easy answer. It can be an easy answer. The easiest answer is there is no difference. But there really is. Because both zines and mini comics are a part of the small press. Mini comics are technically zines, but zines are not technically mini comics. And not all small press books are mini comics or zines. Have I thoroughly confused you yet? Okay, with that said, let's take a look at each one of them, and we're going to break them down in parts. Small press comics, to be more specific, is basically a term that has really been in wide use. I would say maybe the past couple of decades. I mean, super wide use. Really, before that, the main term, honestly, was self-published. But self-publishing really wasn't a fully accurate term, because small press doesn't necessarily mean that you're publishing it yourself. It could mean somebody like myself publishing somebody else's mini comic. That would still be considered small press. Essentially, what quantifies small press is basically anything that isn't considered really even a well-known, I guess you call it, independent publisher. For example, is Alternate considered a small press? No, most definitely not. They are not small press. They're a straight-up indie publisher, independent publisher. However, is DDC Studios small press? Yes, we most definitely are. Because we're not like listed in Diamond. Your typical comic book news sites aren't really covering our releases, things of that nature. Okay, now we got that out of the way, because, I'm not wanting to get too terribly in-depth and really bog everybody down in specifics, but that gives you kind of a general idea of what small press is, because small press, also, I guess I should add one little caveat, small press publishes, if you will, regular-sized floppy comics, graphic novels, mini comics, zines, basically anything and everything. Okay? Now, what is a zine? Well, a zine is actually can be summed up with a handmade magazine. So all mini comics are actually zines, but like I said, not all zines are mini comics, because you don't have to actually make a comic book when you're making a zine. It could be on any topic under the sun, using artwork, or it's just nothing but blocks of text, or it's a combination of both, or it may have articles, otherwise known as blocks of text, with a little bit of artwork and a comic strip thrown in for good measure. It's anything you can think of, that a regular magazine would be, just brought down on a smaller scale. Now, your typical size of zine usually is what I like to refer to as that half size. The 8.5 by 11 inch printer paper folded over in half. And, once again, a zine could be a full-on comic book. Like I said, all mini-comics are technically zines. That's why you will hear a lot of what I would call a mini-comic creator refer to their books as zines. They're 100% right. Of course, like I always like to preach, in the world of mini-comics, there is no right, there is no wrong, there just is. But, for the purposes of this conversation we're having right now, they're accurate calling their mini-comic a zine. So, now we get to the last bit. What's a mini-comic? And, for those of you that have been listening to my channel for a while, or even a few episodes, I think you probably have a pretty good grasp of what a mini-comic is. But for some of those folks that are maybe listening to this channel for the very first time, basically a mini-comic is a small comic book. Now, I like to take that a step further, and a true mini-comic, if you will, at the risk of being somewhat gatekeepy, I guess if that's a term, to me, a mini-comic is not only a small comic book, but it's a small comic book that's printed on either like a home printer or a photocopy machine, or it can be professionally printed, but at a very, very small print run, and usually distributed through what I like to call hand distribution, like at conventions, or even direct sales on the internet. They may be carried in a handful of comic shops, but usually that distribution model is you're still hand delivering stacks of the mini comics to a particular shop to sell. Now, with that said, there are wide release mini comics, like way back in the day, in the dark ages known as the early 1980s. Masters of the Universe action figures were packaged with mini comics because they were miniature comic books. But really, for the intents and purposes of like the discussions we have on this channel, when I'm talking about mini comics, I'm usually not referring to small comic books put out with major distribution and huge print runs. Usually they're basically handmade comic books of any shape and size. I'll even go so far as to say that a magazine-sized comic book that's put out, 8.5 by 11 inch, could actually technically be qualified as a mini comic. Which I know there's a lot of mini comic creators that may find that comment to be controversial, but if you're printing the book at Kinko's or on a home printer, and you're folding the pages, stapling it, and collating it, and all of that good stuff yourself, I'm sorry, you're not doing anything different than what your average mini comic creator is doing. So it qualifies as a mini comic, and also a zine. So yeah, we're coming up pretty close on the 10-minute mark. So I hope this kind of helped a few of you folks listening, especially the ones that have been getting a hold of me that kind of want to at least basically know what the difference is in the parlance of small press, zines, and mini comics. And like I said, I hope it kind of clears up a little bit of the confusion. Now, speaking of small press, zines, and mini comics, if you're interested in picking up any of DDC Studios' currently in-print mini comics, all you have to do is hit that link in the description below that's labeled Webstore. When you click that link, you will be taken to the official DDC Studios online store, where you can pick up any and all currently in-print DDC Studios mini comics. You can also pick up all sorts of original art, from sketch covers to sketch cards to commissions. And we also have some really awesome bundle deals that kind of bundle the mini comics together, and also bundle mini comics together with some original art. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. And if you are a fan of DDC Studios and you want to take your fandom up one more notch, hit the t-shirt shop link below, where you can pick up your very own official DDC Studios t-shirts in various sizes and styles. They're only $20 a piece. And then finally, you can also follow us on social media, as we have our links to our Twitter and Instagram accounts in the description below, where we do post almost on a daily basis with all sorts of mini comic wackiness. And as far as Twitter's concerned, it's the one place that you are guaranteed to always be kept up to date on any up-and-coming DDC Studios releases. And it's also the exclusive place where we release a new page every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time of 101 Ways to Kill a Stickman, our new online comic strip. So, once again, thank you ever so much for listening. I really appreciate everybody who sits through and listens to me ramble for 10 plus minutes every Tuesday and Thursday. It really means a lot to me. So we are going to have another video up for you here in just a couple more days. And as always, thanks a lot for listening. Bye.